Welcome to Nkosi Talk Shows. Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Challenges we have had to overcome in 2020.
Find your own voice.
The world has become united by the unseen, knowing there are no guarantees for tomorrow.
Lead from within.
Find your own voice.
Let the world hear your voice and be filled with it.
For the day has come for you to be a great leader.
The time has come to break away from the pain, distraction, experience the unthinkable.
Welcome to Nkosi Talk Shows, everyone. My name is Nomsa Clara Mnube. If it is your first time at Nkosi Talk Shows, please subscribe to our channel. We talk about all subjects from all walks of life. With me today, I have Grant Mitchell and Amanda Cottrell. Amanda Murray, she likes to be called Amanda Murray now. So over to you, Grant. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
Thank you, Nob. So it's actually Grant Morrell. Grant Mitchell, I believe, is the character in EastEnders, but that happens very often. But I'm Grant Morrell. I'm an international speaker, coach, trainer, and international best-selling author.
My name's Amanda Cottrell. I only changed my name on Facebook because I'm a teacher and I just wanted some more privacy on Facebook. So then I kind of changed my name on a couple of things. But my name's Amanda Cottrell. I am a teacher. I am a children's book author, and I help empower people to find their own unique creative capacities within themselves.
Thank you so much, Amanda and Grant. So our topic today is rewrite your own story and change your life. So Amanda, you chose this topic. There must be something that you're working on or something that inspired you. Would you like to basically explain to our audience why you changed this topic?
Yeah, I chose this topic because I am going to run a course in the fall, and it's going to be called Empowering Your Life. And one of the topics is going to be about rewriting your story. And the reason that I picked rewriting your story is because when I took a course to be a kids yoga instructor, they asked us to tell one of the people in your class, and this was like a number of years ago that I took this course, but they told you to partner up with someone and tell your life story. And so many of the people in the course, and the instructor knew this was going to happen too, they told all the like negatives and hardships of their story. And so then she said, now flip it around and tell your positives and feel like how you can turn that into a positive, and how you can turn that into what you've learned. And I've actually done something like that before. So I kind of knew she was doing this from a course that I had taken before. And so I purposely told mine at the start from a more positive spin because I knew that that's what she was doing. But it was really interesting because no one else in the course had ever done any work like that. And I had read about this girl who had wrote about how her life was so hard because her parents were in the military and they moved all the time, and she had to go to new schools all the time, and it's difficult to make new friends, and it was difficult to be moving, and as soon as you made friends you had to go and move again. And then this complete same story only from a different perspective, whereas yeah, my parents were in the military, we moved all the time, I got to see the whole world, I got to learn all these different languages, and I know people all over the world. And then after you read both sides, you found out it was the same person telling the same story, but from a different perspective. And I think that's like, we all need to wake up sometimes and realize that, because even in my own life, I could tell my story of like, yeah, I'm divorced and I'm a single mom, or I could be like, I'm divorced, it was the best choice I ever made. I am a single mom. I own my own house. I run my own business. I am a teacher. I work full time. And I'm really, truly empowering my life through some of the hardships that I've been through. And so I think when we change that perspective on our lives, then your life totally can change and you can empower your life through that. So that's why I picked Rewrite Your Story. It's not that you're going to pick up and rewrite everything you've been through. You're going to pick up and think, okay, if I'm focusing on these negatives that have happened in my life, how can I maybe just change my perspective a little bit to be like, how has this empowered me and made me stronger?
What do you think, Grant?
I think you're actually right on it there, Amanda. I mean, absolutely. It's about empowerment. It's about taking the word I always look at as a responsibility. Yeah, the ability to respond to a given situation. And we all have that choice. Whether that means we bury our head in the sand and do nothing about it, that is still a response. Whether we, the fight and flight, whether we run away or whether we fight and deal with it. But I think that's an extreme way of looking at it. But in many ways, yeah, you can. Whatever happened in your life, it happened. And I think, in the words of Richard Bandler, one of the founders of NLP, which I'm an NLP trainer, among other things, he always said the great thing about the past is it's gone. And that's the greatest thing. You don't want to keep bathing in it. Actually, only earlier I was talking to someone about a worrying situation they had yesterday, which all resolved and it was all okay. And I told the story and was listening to it. And then the story started repeating. I said, you know what? It's all okay now. Thank God it's all okay. Let's not labour it. Let's not layer it on, because you don't need it anymore. You got the point. You understand. Thankfully, it was okay. You've learned from that situation. You can extract information from it. I've learned next time I would do it like this. That's it. Great. Move on from there. And quite often these things can help to reinvent you and take you to a much, much better place. So it's someone once said that life isn't about what happened. It isn't about the 90% of what happens to you, or it isn't about the 10%. Actually, sorry, it isn't the 10% of what happens to you. It's the 90% of the way you choose to react to it. I hope that makes sense.
Ooh.
I think it comes a minute.
I put my video by mistakes. I love that, Grant. That great things about the past is the great thing about the past, and I think that's a big test statement to tell yourself that basically past is the past. That's why we are in the present. And Amanda, I like it the way the story about the army girl and then it's retold in a different way as well. I think it's amazing because the past actually don't define us. How basically we see the world is how we're going to become whatever we think, because you have to think and feel and then create. You have to be someone that is using, you have to learn to be genius with your mind, because our brains are here basically for us to use them. No matter how much we've gone through in life, challenges, you meet someone who is very, very successful. And once they open their mouth and tell you their story, you are like, how did you become that? It's because they decided to basically divorce their past and embrace it. You have to embrace your past and thank it and say thank you very much. Me, I like burning things. I like burning clothes. I like burning computers. When I'm moving on with my past, if I have a horrible experience that year, I don't mind to actually set up the fire and burn the laptop and say I'm moving on. I don't want this memory. I do that because I have to embrace my past, but I can't let the past affect me. And when you embrace it and you tell your story how you want to tell, you rewrite it. And when you rewrite it, you create the energy. Because whatever we do is all about energy. So you can work on the energy of the struggles to break the chains of the struggles. If you go through the challenges like Amanda, we have gone through divorce. We had to break away from the chains of that divorce, and then you bring the energy of starting again, and without blaming someone else. Because when you blame, that's when you're chaining yourself. But if you decide, okay, this is what it is, I'm okay with this pain, I'm okay with what I've been through, but then what have I learned from that pain? Then get information, get the knowledge, and the knowledge is something that you can hold on. The information is the event. What happened is that event. You hold on to this event and then you create the knowledge. It's just learning. It's like you relearning things, and learn and then you relearn. So I think that's what it's about. Over to you, Amanda. I'm gonna upload for a long time.
The one thing I was thinking about when you both were talking was the very first like self-help book I ever read was one I just happened to pick up randomly in Costco when I was like 18 years old, and it was called The Power of Now. And it is true. We have like we own the only control we have over is this moment right now and today. And so we always have the power right now to shift how we're thinking, to shift our lives, to decide that we're going to stop the patterns that we've been continuing our whole life and shift it into rewriting how we want our future to look. And I focus so much on how we can use our own creativity to create the lives that we want. And this is because I know that we are infinitely creative, and each and every one of us has creative gifts. And sometimes schools make us feel like we're not creative because we're not creative in the way that people generally assume creativity looks. And I tell people all the time, like, everyone's creative. I don't care what you think. We are all creative. It might not be that you're a painter and an artist, but you might be a writer, or you might be a woodworker or a coder, or maybe you're really creative when it comes to how you teach something, or there's just so many ways to be creative. And our so many times our focus on creativity is just the arts that you see in school, and that's not the case. Like, there are people in the world who make like structures out of tape and are like very, very famous, and it's unbelievable. Like, I learned about this tapeogamy like entire session that used to happen, and these artists would make all of these like unbelievable structures out of tape, like masking tape. And it's like we have the capacity to be creative with so many different tools and in so many different ways, and we just need to open our minds to that. And when we open our minds to rewriting what we thought and rewriting how we used to view the world, so many things will open up for us.
That's wonderful. Isn't it great about rewriting? I love the way you said that, actually, in my head, about rewriting. And I think that's a good point. I mean, do you actually find that some people do literally rewrite it? Some people just create it in their mind, and some people like the power of putting pen to paper. Do you think that's a method that a lot of people like to use, to literally rewrite their journal of how they want things to be? I can't hear you, Nomsa.
Are you still talking?
We were talking, but I think you were just muted for a second.
Oh, yeah, I can hear you. You finished talking.
Yeah.
Okay, that was short.
I was actually asking Amanda a question there around where she said rewriting, and I picked up on that phrase rewriting actually in a physical term, about when it comes to kind of redesigning your past or reimagining yourself. Some people like to visualize it, and some people actually like the power of putting pen to paper and actually writing it, the physicality of writing it out and creating it, which of course is a creation in itself, isn't it? And I was actually digging a little bit deeper on that, about different styles of doing things. So and everybody's views on that. What do you think about that, Amanda? Can I ask?
Well, I think that the physical act of writing, our brains actually work differently when we write things down, and there's actually research on that.
Yeah.
And so it's actually really good. And what Nomsa was talking about too is like that burning, that where she burns things when she's had a negative experience of that, and there's that energy that's connected to that I've done that a number of times too, where I write out a situation that happened and I crumple it up and I burn it because I'm like, I need to let go of that piece and that negativity and focus on the positives that I can control. I really like what you're talking about rewriting, because I'm also working on a book, a collaborative book, and it's called Rethinking What It Means to Be Educated. And it really is shifting our perspective on what it means to be educated. And it's a bunch of different people who are going to contribute to the book, a different chapter of where they struggled through traditional school, yet have gone on to become extremely successful in life. And success looks differently for everyone too. Like I have a friend who literally got kicked out of our high school that I went to. And when I started looking into writing this book, one of my friends was like, you need to contact this person and hear their story. And it was just absolutely hilarious when I sat down and had a coffee with him, and I was like asking about things. He's like, I got kicked out of our high school. I was like, what? I'm like, you need to tell your story. Because he was like, then I went in to be a firefighter, and like all through school I barely passed, like couldn't even get above 60%. And then I went in to be a firefighter when I first graduated, and you had to get over 80 to get in to be a firefighter. And he's like, I worked my butt off and I aced the test to be a firefighter. And he's like, nowhere in my school career did I ever get over 80% in anything, my entire school career. But then when I really wanted something, I could do it. And then now, after like many years, he quit being a firefighter and he started his own business, and he owns an international engineering company, yet he's not even an engineer.
Right, you don't need to be, right?
It's like, I just was like, oh my God, I love your story. And I love how you rewrote and rethought how you were educated and how you've shifted everything into, I can achieve anything that I want to achieve. And now, even though he has a very successful engineering company, he's now bringing in, he loves coffee. And it was funny because I was feeding him tea at my house. And he is starting a coffee company where he brings in, he's from Colombia, so he's bringing in beans from Colombia to Canada. And he's starting a coffee company in addition to his engineering company. And I'm just like, I think that we can rewrite our story at any point in time. So no matter what you've been through, you can start today and then refocus and rewrite your story. And whether it's, if you look at your past and you think, what did I learn from each and every single situation that there was? How can I write down all of the crap that I've been through, do what Nomza does, crumple it up and burn it.
Yeah.
I have a little fire pit in my backyard, so I definitely utilize that when I need to like go crumple up something and burn it and be like, okay, now I can focus all of my energy on where I want to get to next. And so I think that's something that's so important. And the physical act of writing, like you said, Grant, there is little research on how our brains think differently when we actually sit down and write something out. And it can be really, really powerful, especially if you look into the energy work and energy around different things as well. Nomza?
Yeah, I think that is very, very important, Amanda. Like, we cannot have an amazing education, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't guarantee success. There are so many people that when you see them, they tell you their story, you'll be like, wow. And basically, for me, when someone tells me their story, it's like there's this pastor that I follow on YouTube, but every time I go and listen to him, and that's why I start banning things. Like, I don't want to hold on into my past. Before, I'll be like holding on to my past and doing like dwelling on the things. But now I've learned to embrace my past, and I learned to view the world in my subconscious mind instead of viewing in my outer world. basically I view it in my inner world, because I have to evaluate myself, because that person is the one that is going to make decisions, is the one that is going to basically help me to rewrite my own story. And once I have an understanding of who I am and what I want in life, and what am I willing to actually unlearn to get there, then I'm ready to go. And the criticism for me, there are so many people who are criticizing me, who have been criticizing me from the beginning. When I started rewriting my life story from 2010. And guess what? Those people, the amazing thing is when someone comes and criticizes you, and when you don't get angry with their critics, and you basically sleep on it and evaluate it. There are some critics that people criticize for the sake of, because they love it, and they're jealous because they can't get on with things. But there are some people who are really, really genuine, who come to your life and criticize and say, why don't you do this? And things like that. So for me, I sleep on it and I think about it. Sometimes I leave it, and then maybe a week later I'll go back to it and just evaluate it. Or if it's my thing, I'll be like, no, this is not for my thing. But what it helps me basically to rewrite my story is spending 2 hours. I used to spend 2 hours putting makeup on. So I divorced makeup. I don't put makeup anymore. So the reason is basically I neglected myself a lot. And I never, thank God, I never went into depression or anything when I was with my ex. Basically, I spent so much time basically make sure that I looked good. When I go out, I make sure that my handbag matches my high heels, everything. And when you look at me, you'll be, wow, you're looking good, but inside, I was broken. So that is the reason why I divorced makeup. That 2 hours that I used to spend putting makeup, making sure my eyelashes matched my hair, matched everything, I spend it on meditating. I spend it on praying. And I spent it on evaluating my life. How can I change my life? When you do that, when you meditate, when you pray, whatever your beliefs that might be, the universe will respond to you, and then you will start saying, but I don't do anything, but things just happen, because you're working on yourself, you're working on your inner being. And the universe will start responding. If you believe in God, God will start responding as well. And it's just depend on what do you really believe in. For me, basically, I believe that whether you have education, whether you have had, I come from a family, my dad was a teacher. My stepdad comes from a wealthy family, but my grandfather on my daddy's side, my father's father, was a very, very clever man. He was very wealthy, and none of his children are like him because he was smart. So I come from a mix of family, but where I came from, I was never a city girl. I was a village girl. So I lived in a village, and when I look at my journey to where I am, if you can ask me that anyone can change their lives, I believe it, because I've done it. I've believed in myself, and my parents believed in me, and I've changed my life, not because I'm smart, because I'm willing to, when I fall, I'm willing to get up. And when things are not working out, I'm willing to cry out, whatever my beliefs. I believe in God. If you find myself in the house here, there are times where you will find me with God in court. So I put the Holy Spirit there. I put God there. I put my ancestors there. I put God there when things are not working well. And when Gavin came on the picture, I was screaming and shouting and screaming and shouting. And then something just came, and I was like, you know, the guy on LinkedIn that approached you before, go find him. So I was looking for the guy. I even forgot his name. I looked and looked and looked and looked, and then until I found him. But he was there at the time. I wasn't ready, but now I was ready. Even when when I spoke to him over the phone, he was like, Nomsa, you've changed. When I spoke to you last time, you didn't sound like this. Why? So I was like, I've been working on myself. So hi, Raina. Yes, life experience are the best teachers. Yes, they are. Definitely, 100% I agree. Over to you guys. Over to you, Amanda. Is it Amanda or Grant? Over to you.
Over to you, Amanda.
And I
Okay.
like the power. I'm going to look at this book, Amanda, The Power of Now.
Now.
Yeah,
I
I'm
Power
going
of
to
Now.
look for it
read
as well.
years and years ago, and then it was so funny when I really started focusing. My life shifted in around 2010 as well, because I had my daughter in 2010 and I was getting divorced in 2013. But I rebought The Power of Now randomly in the bookstore, and then I was reading it and I was like, I've already read this book. I didn't even know I had, because it had been like 11 years earlier.
Had you forgotten, Amanda? Had you forgotten that you'd read it before?
Yeah, well, I had
Yeah.
like the very first book I ever bought was like when I was like 18 or 19 on like self-help, but I didn't really realize it was that
Yeah.
at the time. And so I bought it, and then like I was in university and I moved a bunch of times. I probably lent the book to somebody or gave it away. And then I was in the bookstore looking for things to like empower me and empower my mind. And I bought that book again, and then I'm reading it and I was like, I've already read this book.
That's funny. I like
There
that.
are times where I purposely reread books, but that time was like, okay, there's obviously a message here for me in this, that I need to look at what I can control now. And it really is a fascinating book on just changing your perspective into gaining your power.
That's brilliant. I'd love to pick up on a few points you made. Firstly, about the research, I was aware of the research of handwriting. That's why I wanted you to expand on that, because I know it's a very powerful thing. And also that when you say you literally burn the past, you write it down and burn it. It's a powerful exercise. I've done this myself. It's very powerful. And as you know, I'm a trained hypnotherapist. In fact, a hypnotherapy trainer.
What do you do, Grant? Do you burn it and write it? Have you done it as well?
Yeah, I've done it. Yeah, you can physically write it out, these things, or any limiting beliefs, for example, limiting beliefs, you can write these out, look at them, say them, and you can change the way in which you say them. You can change the voice, put a ridiculous voice on it, so it just sounds pathetic and ridiculous. You say it in so many different ways. As a trained processor, I take people, there is many processes I can take them through, but one of them is when you do this, you say this in so many different ways, ridiculous ways, and basically, in the end, it just sounds ridiculous. And it is ridiculous. And then you can burn it. You can burn it. Now, as a hypnotherapist, there's a certain process that I take people through, and I get them to destroy these things in whichever way is appropriate to them. Whether that be burn it. I mean, they may sit there and in their mind they burn it. They may smash it with a hammer. I've known people blow it up with a bomb in their mind, throw it in the sea. Yeah, all different kind of things. Put it in the dumpster, or skip as we would call it in the UK. You could dump whatever it is for you, or big, a big chopper, big like a mechanical, whatever it is to just destroy that thing. It's one of the processes that I take people through. There's more to it than that, obviously, but that's the schematic of it, and it's a very, very powerful process. So yeah, whichever way you destroy it, and it's gone. And I've used this with people, and in the past I did this with someone, and it's a funny story because we used to, years ago, we used to hire this church, we used to hire this church hall, and we'd practice in there. And one day there was always a gospel group there before us. I remember this, and the gospel groups would be going on. Sometimes they went on a little bit beyond the time, and it was going on and on. And we're like, wow, they're really overgoing. I wonder if we could just remind them that there was a booking after. We booked it after, and when we went in, they apparently had booked the whole thing. The people who had done the booking had double booked, so we didn't have a venue for that night, and we had guests and we was practicing with them. And we said, okay, so we're going to have a drink. And we went to a bar, and this was in Canary Wharf in London, if anyone knows it. We went there. We went to a bar, and it wasn't that busy, but there were certainly customers there. It was noise at one end. We went to the quieter corner, and I spoke to a guy, And I asked him, do you have a problem? You can share it with me if you want, or it could be content free. And he said, I'd rather it be content free, i.e., he doesn't need to tell me what it is. And I said, that's fine. And I said, on a scale of 1, how long have you had the problem? He said, 19 years. 19 years. How big is this problem? On a scale of 1 to 10, he said, 9. Scale of 9. And I said, you've had this for 19 years? Yeah. Would you like to get rid of it? Yeah, I'd love to. I said, okay. And I did a process on him. And within 4 minutes, his answers was, where have you put it? He couldn't find it. Gone. And I don't believe you. I said, I think you're hiding it. Really try and bring it back, and I can give it that karate chop. You know, really. He couldn't find it. It'd gone. It had got 4 minutes in a bar. Done. And that was it. Now, I'm not saying I can do that all the time. I'm not saying that. But that was it. And part of the process was actually him just eliminating it, chopping it like that. 4 minutes. Sometimes it takes way longer, but that's fine. But that's, you know, but it gets rid of it. It's very effective. So the power of identifying what the thing is, getting clarity on that, looking at it, you know, negating it. And there's many ways you can do this with NLP, you know, phobia cure, trauma cure, all these kind of things. I mean, hypnotherapy, there's various other ones you can use, all in processing. But I love the idea about taking it, you know, writing it and burning it. Obviously, we couldn't do that in a bar. But so the point is that it's so flexible. You can take that idea, that maxim, if you will, but you can use it in different ways. You can destroy it in your mind. You can physically burn it if you're in a safe place to do that. There's different ways of doing it, destroying it. And if you're with someone who can guide you through the process, you can do that with your imagination just as effectively. It's powerful because picking up on your point there, Nomsa, about years ago when you spend all this time putting on makeup, it's a mask, isn't it? It's quite literally a mask. It's a very firm version, but it's not just ladies who wear masks. Men wear masks. In fact, everybody wears a mask. You know, you go into a situation, you go to work, you go home to your family, you do there is somewhat of a mask. You go to meet relatives, you put on an image, if you will, a mask of how you feel you should be in that situation. And very rarely is it the congruent you. You know, there's a certain thing of social etiquette, and I'm a great believer in that. But it reaches a point when it is a mask, because most people are, in fact, we all are really, we're a product of childhood trauma and environment. Not saying we've all had a traumatic childhood. I didn't have a traumatic childhood, but like everybody, things happen. Things happen,
Yeah.
and they leave a bruise. They leave a mental bruise, and it's about the way you deal with these things, and you carry these things forward in your adult life. But very rarely do we actually reassess our life from an adult viewpoint and replay those lessons that we learned when we was younger. I.e., when you was a child, it was taught don't speak to strangers. Very good advice, maybe if you're 4, 5, 7, 10 years old. Not so great when you're 22, 32, 42, 52, or whatever it is, you know. So that you do need to go out and communicate with people. And, you know, sometimes we're replaying those models of the past. It's a very crude analogy, but one that we can all relate to. And that's just what I wanted to share.
Yeah, that is amazing, Grant. That is amazing. And also, you know, like sometimes that's why I said you need to use your beliefs, because with that guy, when his life changed, like when you ask him, do you have a problem? There was a reason why you were there with him, and you helped him, and he basically, he thought he was going out, but he didn't know that there was going to be some help regarding his problem. So you may find that inside out he was crying, like to say, I wish I can get rid of this, but I don't know how. So, and that cry made him, even though you knew each other, and I made him, you ending up helping him. And that is the power of God and the power of the universe. We have to be able to be this someone that is able to seek help when you need it, because like what you're saying, not everyone else had trauma from childhood, but as we get older, we get to meet people, we get to go to our teachers, we meet teachers, we meet people from all walks of life. Some of them, they tell us we are not good enough. Some teachers tell us we are not good enough. And we start believing, and even ourselves as well, our mind, we start creating things that don't exist. So in order for you to be able to believe in yourself, you need to be somebody that is willing to rewrite their own story, and your mindset, it has to align with what you want. The people around you, it has to align, like here every day. I'm here to go to talk show Monday to Friday 1 p.m. I get to listen to different speakers and they speak, and it's such an amazing, because I'm not just here hosting the talk show, I'm listening to people's mind, and when I'm finished, I use the ideas. Grant mentioned this. And if I'm struggling with something, I pick up the phone. Grant, can you help me with this? Amanda, can you help me with this? And that is amazing thing about being surrounded by people who are basically mastermind, who are focusing in mastering their own life. That is amazing. So you have to make sure that you are surrounded by the right people, and your energy as well, it has to be aligned with what you want to do in life. If you want to break away from something, break away, meditate, pray, whatever your beliefs, use those beliefs to get you out of the situation. Because what you basically, what you know, you can unlearn it. If I have met someone who is horrible, I can choose in my mind to hold on to the information that I want. Or like what was Granta was saying, we can bend that information. I did my biography when my marriage wasn't working. I was like, the norms that when I was growing up, I was so different. I was so confident. And when I started going to high school, and things changed, because people tell you all these things, and you start dating men, they tell you that you're not enough, and you believe in them, and that becomes your story, your identity. So those were the things that I was carrying. So I basically wrote my biography, and after I actually bent it last year, 2021. Yes, I did. I banned it. I wrote it 2009, 2008, and 9. I think it was 2006. I spent 6, 7, 8, 9 writing it, and I finished it. I found the publishing company. I did all the process of publishing, and after I finished, I decided to keep it. But last year, I decided to ban it. That means that past it can no longer help me, but I have a good relationship with that past. Hi, Rodney. We love you. Thank you so much for your support. And you just bury the past. If it's not worth it, you just bury it. And what also I did something. I followed Paul McKenna's process, where you come face to face, you have to face your enemy. And I did that process where I visualize my problems, and I come face to face with my problems, and I let them go. And when I was letting go, I just felt this dark cloud inside my chest. And when I felt this dark cloud inside my chest, I just felt this pain going away. And since then, I never felt that pain again, because I was willing to actually work on the pain. But I did something. I opened the door that I shouldn't have. I was in somewhere else. You know, when you hold on to pain, you hold on to anger, you hold on to I'm not enough and things like that. I think spiritually you get to go somewhere else. But when I was breaking away from that pain, I got to open the door. It was the whole story that is going to need a year for me to explain. But I broke away from that chain. And when I was breaking, and there was a voice that said, no, you can't break away. And that voice was out loud. I remember calling my pastor and saying, I don't understand it. There's someone speaking, telling me that I can't leave. But I don't want to leave. I want to leave the pain. And it was like, I'll be there in a minute. He was there. She lives in London, and she was there within an hour. And she started explaining to me, as a Christian, we sin, we do this, and when you break away from this, that's where you have to face. So it was the whole story. So over to you, Amanda, please. So that's the beauty of rewriting your own story. You get to feel the pain, and you get to break away from the pain, and you get to be free.
Wow.
Yeah, I really like how you said that you get to choose, and I wanted to comment on what Grant said about the guy that he was working with in the bar, and
Yeah.
how in 4 minutes you were able to release something that he was holding on to for 19 years. And I just think when we start to look into self-help and to how we can shift our lives, into how we can really start focusing on healing our lives and healing our childhood traumas, because we all have trauma. And there's actually research on how our cells and our DNA are carrying trauma from 7 generations before, and then we actually pass it on to 7 generations ahead. And it's research on rats, on how they discovered that these rats will, if a rat experiences a trauma like a sap or something in one area of their cage, the 7 generations will avoid that exact same stigma until it's unbelievable. It's really, really interesting how our cells can actually like hold that stress and that tension. And when you start to open up your mind to look at different types of healing, I look at healing as healing the whole person, and that's body, mind, and spirit, and your intellect as well. And so we in Western society, so much of it is just like, here, take a pill, here, take another pill, here. And when we look at Eastern society and Eastern medicine, it's more of looking at the whole person and energy, and all of these traditions from centuries worth of passing down all of this knowledge. And when I started to explore the energy work and different modalities of healing, I had a similar experience where I went to, it's called emotional code healing, and I never experienced a release like that in my life. Like I was holding on to something that was generations worth of stress and tension. And the emotion cold healer was able to release that. And I just like instantly started bawling, and my whole body started shaking. And it was like the most surreal experience I've ever had in my life. And I wouldn't even believe it if unless I had experienced it. And it's like and now I just look at it as like, if you're holding on to something, your body's holding on to it, you feel that tension and you feel it, and it's with you all of the time. And when you start exploring different modalities of healing, you might find the right one that within 4 minutes you can release something that you've been carrying your entire life. And it is absolutely unbelievable. Like, I don't even believe it myself. And I experienced it. And so, and I know myself too, I practice Reiki, and I go to a Reiki healer and on a regular basis. And even though it's energy work, and like my Western society brain is like, this is so weird. But then my like spiritual brain is like, this is amazing, and this is helping me, and I can release so much, and I just feel lighter and happier and more empowered after I go, and just more like calm and at ease and centered in who I am. And so I don't care if it's weird. I don't care if people think like, that's pretty strange. You can heal people with energy just with your hands, or even like from a distance. It's like, yeah, you absolutely can. And it's because we don't like, I look at it as, I don't understand how my cell phone works, right? Like I don't understand how it can send messages through the air, but yet we have the capability to heal through a distance, to heal through energy that we can send across the world. And it's absolutely unbelievable, but we are not like, in my like past generations, I've never was taught anything like this. And I just think that looking into healing from many, many generations and many, many different cultures you might find something that just works for you. And while emotional code healing helped me immensely, and Reiki's helped me immensely, Grant, what you were saying, I haven't tried the hypnotherapy, but I think that would be an amazing tool as well. And I think you'll just find the right person when you're ready to release that. Because I know too, when I was doing the emotion code healing, while he was like, it was like magnets or something that he was like rubbing on my back. I don't even remember. It was quite a while ago. And I remember like in my head just being like, I just want to release this no matter what. Like, just help me heal. Like, I kept saying it over and over again because he was like, you got really stuck. Like, this is not letting go. And in my head, I was like, please, 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 please. Like, I want this so badly. I just want to heal. And finally, it just like was like, and it was like most unbelievable experience I've ever had in my life. And so you have to be also, you can't go into different modalities and be closed-minded to it, because it's not going to help you. And I believe that we need to take tools from all different areas. So my tools are meditation, yoga, medication, also like energy healing and reading books and speaking my truth. And so like, I don't think you can heal with just one solution. It's from all different areas, and you have to look at it from as a whole perspective. And it's also like eating properly, surrounding yourself with the right people. You can't heal one aspect of your life without looking at it as a whole. And we need to really look at healing from a whole perspective, not be like, here's a Band-Aid, take some medication, because that's not going to help.
You've got to suspend disbelief for a while, right, and just look at other options. Now, emotional code, I'm aware that it's very, very powerful, because there's body code and emotional code, right? And they're both. I've experienced body code, and it's really interesting. It's a complete diagnostic and a tune-up, which is great. I mean, it's incredible stuff. Absolutely incredible. I'm really glad that you've used that, and it's lovely to hear your story.
Yeah, they work with like meridian lines, and I need to research more about it. Like I had a friend ask me about it a little while ago, because she's like, yeah, my friend's an emotion code healer. Have you ever done that? And I was like, yeah, actually I did 10 years ago. And it was unbelievable. And when I have the time, that's actually something that I want to get trained in, because I just had the most unbelievable experience for it. And I haven't had the time to get training in it and research it more. But I have read quite a bit about meridian lines and energy work in our chakras and different things like that. And how our energy field expands a certain distance around us, and how we actually walk into rooms and can feel energy and feel different people's energy. And so, and all plants and everything gives off an energy. And so there's definitely more research that I need to do. But if you're starting to look into things, I would say don't just go to your doctor and get a prescription. Also, maybe that's one thing, but also go to a hypnotherapist, go to a psychologist, go to a Reiki, go to emotional code healing, go to look, you'll find the right healer when you're ready. And the right healer might be hypnotherapy, or it might be Reiki, or it might be a psychologist, but you have to be open and willing and ready, and really be open to sometimes something being like a little bit weird.
Do you know how does healing works, Amanda? You actually heal yourself. The people that you go to when you're asking for healing, they don't tell you the secret. You actually are the one that has to release the healing. They have to channel, like activate your energy or channel your energy, and then you have to accept the situation that you want to let it go. Because when I've learned that myself, I went to one of the pastors. The girl introduced me to one of the pastors. So we were talking, and he said, Nomsa, you do know that there's no such thing as sickness. And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, no, So he explained the process is very goes deep. So then since then I was going to the doctors all the time, and after that I decided, okay, I'm just gonna pray like this and get his advice. I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do this. And when I get the cold, if I hear the cold is coming, I can actually refuse to actually, in my mind, I can actually reject the cold and heal myself. So I actually rub my hands. I rub my hands when they're really, really hot. But I'm actually, you have to be someone that really spend time on you. You have to spend time on you, and healing wise, like meditation wise, you have to spend like at least 2 hours or 1 hour every single day, because it's something that you have to build. You've built it in, like Grant is a hypnotherapist. Hypnotherapists, they know how to deal with their feelings as well. So you have to talk to people like that. Once they teach you how to deal with it, like Amanda, I've seen your attitude changed since you started the course. You're going, like, your mind is like, every time I speak to you, you're doing something. That's how your body is healing, and you come to a different place where you're gonna start feeling things like it's like I'm in the house like myself. What I did when I opened the door, because I fasted for 40 days, and with the end of that 40 days, I got confronted by somebody, and it was like, there's God, there's his son. So his son was like, no, you're not going anywhere, you're not going to him. I was like, yes, I am. So he tortured me and asked me to sell my soul. I was singing pop music as well at the time, and that's why I don't sing pop music anymore. So he asked me to sell my soul. He would give me everything that I ever wanted. And then I said, get lost. I choose Jesus. So I chose God. And it was like, okay, I'm going to torture you. I was like, go ahead. And he did torture me. The pain was unbearable. But it came to a point where he just went, you are bonkers, I'm going to let you go anyway. So he let me go. So I did understand why celebrities say they sell their soul, because it comes in with a package that you can't refuse. It means if you want to be famous, means I'm a God, I'll make you famous right now. I can give you everything you want. So for me, it was a no. I was like, thank you very much. In the Bible, God does not give you wealthy in one go. So I was like, no, thank you very much. So he tried to convince me, and I was like, no. And then he said, you chose your choice. He gave me a scripture that is going to torture me. He tortured me for years. And I was like, oh my God. But thank God I had good pastors that were teaching me how the energy works. So now when he comes in, I can feel it, and it will be like, oh my God, he will just speak. I can feel it. I can hear him speak. Or when somebody comes in, or the spirit comes in, but it's something that I've never practiced. It's something that I've decided that I'm going to pray. I'm going to get rid of this. I used to go out and my boobies, I'll be out, because I believe that was the image that I had to look good. I had to be like that. So I got rid of that. And he got upset that because I was now becoming a Christian, the image of proper God. So he was like, no. So he fought me, but it was okay. But I've seen you since you've taken the energy courses, Amanda. You're so different. And I think that's why you chose the topic of how to rewrite your own story, because of how, and I'm sure Grant as well. If you hang out with Grant, actually, because you are into spiritually energy thing, me, I'm very skeptical of energies, because I've experienced so much. So I'm trying to figure this, basically how the universe works. So, but Grant, connect with Grant, because Grant, he has lots of people, connection of people, spiritually healers, and people who are doing what you do. So do connect with him.
Thank you. Thank you. And it's funny what you say, because I mean, I'm essentially in a package known as a business coach. I help people achieve what they want in their life and their business. But how I go about it is different. I used to informally be called years ago the hippie in a suit, because because I help people in the business and align their life. that the way you go about it isn't always just structure and things that you think. It is that, but it's also more holistic stuff underneath. And picking up on your point there, Nomsa, about celebrities, this is something that I've noticed, that a lot of celebrities do have that dichotomy going on, and it does cause them problems. And I can see it as a human behavior specialist when I look and I
Because
read.
it causes depression, and that's why most of them, they have lots of depression and anxiety, fear,
Yeah,
because he's the spirit of fear. He can give you what you want, and he can take it away as well, that easy like that.
that's
And
that.
if you're glorifying it, he can cause fear to you, and you sink into depression.
And that's a great point. You can, and you can pick this up in people. You can see what's going on with them once you tune in with people, and it's a whole different subject. But once you really, really tune in, become present, you can understand what's going on. And I do see this with some celebrities. Now, I have worked with some celebrities. You could say I've worked with some and helped them, and I've identified this as a bigger thing, and that's what I'm looking to do more for that very reason. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, Nomsa, and it's a
It's scary though.
really
It
good
is
point
very
you've
scary.
Yeah, really good point you raised. Really good. Thank you.
I like Nomza, what you said too about healers don't heal you. It's actually you healing yourself, and
Yeah.
that's 100% true. Even when I learned Reiki, I've taken Reiki a few times, and then also like I practice it. And when you heal, when you are being a Reiki healer, you're just really a channel for them to heal themselves. You're not actually healing them, and that's what my Reiki person that I go to says too. He's like, I'm not healing you, Amanda. You're healing yourself. I'm just like helping you get there, right? And I'm just like being a channel for you to see that you can do this on your own. And so I think that's something that's really important too, is that if you start going to the healers, you have to realize that it really is you just finding the right people to help you heal yourself. And you have that power, all of the powers within yourself. And that's something that's really empowering is because it's like I don't have to find somebody, I don't have to look outside myself. All of the power that I need is within me. And I think that's something that we really need to understand too, is because so much of what we're taught is to look from the outside in, and really what we need to do is look from the inside out.
Yeah, you're spot on there, Amanda. Brilliant point. And it is, we just, some people refer to it as a conduit, but it is, like you say, you just source, you just runs through you. It's just that energy, it's that transfer of energy. All they need to do is to be willing. That's all they need to do, is be willing. And that's your point. Some people aren't willing, some people aren't ready to. But when they are ready to, that's it. That's what they need to do. And I've seen this with other people sometimes. We just look at them, now they're not ready to let go yet. They're not ready. They're still, and this could be what we sometimes call a secondary benefit. Secondary benefit, I'm sure you're aware of that, is whereby somebody, that problem, that challenge they have in their life, it's giving them something that they like. Somewhere, as crazy as it sounds, there could be an element of it is giving them something. Let's use the analogy of that limp, that injured leg. You know, the worst thing a lot of people can do is going around wanting to help and heal everyone, yeah, and do that. But without their permission, I think you shouldn't be doing it, because they may not be ready. I.e., they may get that limp, that walking stick, that whatever it is. And if it is something that's psychosomatic, if it is, you just go and take it away without permission, they'll hate you for life, because they're no longer getting that love and attention they was getting from having that stick. Because, so is it really the stick? Is it really the leg that's the problem? No, it was that lack of love and attention that they're not getting elsewhere. That's what needs to be worked on. If you work on that, if they're willing to let go of that, to work on that, you know, attract all the love and attention they want, they won't need that stick, that leg, that psychosomatic bad leg can often just disappear.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Grant and Amanda. Any words of encouragement, Amanda, before we leave?
I think you have the power right now to rewrite your story if you are ready and willing. And it really is, you have that power within yourself, and start taking steps and you'll attract the right people. help guide you on your way.
Thank you so much. Any words of encouragement, Grant, before we go?
I just wanted to say what a great session, what a great show. I loved it. And Amanda, what brilliant points you raised today. I think that was brilliant. Thank you so much for doing this. It's been so insightful, and it's so nice to hear not only just the ideas, but the stories behind it, because I think the stories is what really brings it to life for people. So yeah, so as always, think about your life, and are you ready to rewrite your life, as Amanda says? And if you are, there's many ways you can do it, maybe even a combination. But whatever way, don't forget, it's not about what happened in the past. It's more about what you're going to do with the future. So how you rewrite the past determines your bright, wonderful future. Nomsa.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Grant and Amanda. It's been an amazing talk. And for me, basically, get connected to your future energy, not the past. Like Grant was saying, the past is the past. Use it as the information to help you gain the knowledge of your future, where you need to go. Don't just hold on to the past. That's not the energy that you need. Just let it go, because the past is there to teach you a lesson, and then you become someone that you want to become because of what you've learned from the past, and using that to be to be the creator of your destiny. So you can create the life that you want. Sometimes there will be challenges, but I'm not going to say it happens overnight as well. You have to be someone who is willing to implement. And when you're not feeling okay, just pick yourself up and just get on with it. I go through the times where I go through challenges, but and then I pick myself up and I have a word with God, and I tell him why I'm not happy, and ask him if I have done anything wrong to him, and apologize. And then we pick ourselves up and we get on with it. So just be the creator of your destiny. I know that if I didn't make you, I cannot define you. So God bless everyone. If you want to connect with any of our speakers, please do at Ngosi Talk Show page, or go to the website, the Hope Springs Eternal Introduction Agency, and request to have a chat with whoever you feel connected to. And please follow Grant. And I'm sure some of you are following Amanda, because Amanda has been here for a long time. Follow Grant as well on his social media, and subscribe to our channel. God bless. Live with grace.